Alright, coders, welcome back. This is project number 3 for the upper grade coding contest. This one is called EvenNumberCatcher, so I went ahead and put the name right here. For this one, it's a little game that you could use with a little brother or sister to help her practice, or help them practice, the difference between even and odd numbers. So for this one, we're going to have numbers flying across the screen. We're going to have a sprite that the player controls that moves up and down. And the point is to catch the correct number. So if you catch a number that's even, the score will go up, and if you catch an odd one, you'll lose a point. This program is going to use variables, sprites, motion, loops, the mod function, I'll explain that later, and sound. First thing we want to do is put a better backdrop in. We're going to do a medieval fantasy section or something theme. So do Castle 3. Nice castle backdrop on the stage there. And let's add some sprites. We want to add a number sprite. So the numbers are all the way down at the bottom. We're going to start this one with glow 0. Come to costumes though. Our costume needs to have some additional ones to it. So come back down. I think if we do letters, it skips to it. And, oh, apparently not. Let's do all 1, then add 2, and I just noticed these ones start with the glow title 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. So our sprite here has different costumes, and we're going to put in the code that'll change those costumes here in a bit. Come back to our code here. Let's add another sprite. Let's do one called the Knight. We like him. Let's put him over on the left side, the number on the right side, and we're ready to go. First thing we want to do is the code for the number sprite. So click on this one here that says glow. Basically, when this number sprite is going to do the same thing every time. So when the green flag is clicked, we're going to do, let's have it start on the right side of the screen. So go to way over here, that's 212. Let's do 212 and 0, 212 and 0. Okay, and then let's have it not start right away. So let's go to control and wait 2 seconds. And then we're going to want a forever loop. For as long as the program is running, we're going to want this number to flip across the screen. So we're going to change the x value by -10. So that'll get smaller and smaller and smaller. There it goes. I forgot about that 2-second delay. Okay, and what we want to do now is put some if things in here. So go to control, and we're going to do 2 if statements. We need to check and reset the position if 2 things happen. And there's different ways to do this. We're just going to go with the simplest way. We're going to say if the x position is less than -220, so go to motion. On motion, you have this thing here that says x position, so that keeps track of where the sprite is. Right now it's at 220, but if the program ran, you can see how this x position changes. Now it's at 22. So we're going to check every time it moves to see if it's less than 220. So the x value is going to be less than 220 way over here on the left side of the screen. So what we want to do, if that happens, is if we want it to reset, basically. And this will reset it to 212 and then 0. So watch, if we run it, wait 2 seconds, it'll go across, reset. That's what this if statement does. Every time it's way over on the left side of the screen, move back to the right side of the screen. The other thing we want though is a sensing issue. So go to sensing, and we want to say if it's touching the night, do you see how we click that little triangle there? We want it to do that as well. So we're going to duplicate that block, put it here. So now if it touches the night, it'll skip back earlier. Blink, blink, blink. And that's important because the night's going to move. But as soon as it touches the night, we know that it's going to reset. Okay, that sprite is pretty good. We'll come back and change some things on that for now, but let's move the night around. So that's going to be on a forever loop. When the green flag is clicked, we're going to do a control forever. Basically, we want the nights to move around on the screen. So motion, we could say go to mouse pointer. Let's see what that does. Do you see how he's able to catch the numbers there? But I don't want the night to run around everywhere. So I'm going to get rid of that. And what I want to do is go to, and let's, he's at negative 192 there. Yeah, that's a good number. Negative 192 and 180. Let's just make it so the night only moves up and down. So the X value we don't want to change. We only want the Y value to change. That is a sense thing. Click on sensing, and mouse Y is actually something that the program keeps track of, where the mouse is on the screen. So let's put mouse Y in here where it says go to negative 192 and then mouse Y. So run that. You see how now the night, even though the mouse is all over the screen, the night is stuck on the left side of the screen. The only thing that changes is its Y value, and the Y value matches the motion of the mouse. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is let's include a variable. So a variable is something that stores information, but the information can change over time. This is actually a variable right here. Mouse Y is a variable because sometimes it's negative 23, sometimes it's negative 106. That mouse Y is just the way that the computer keeps track of some information. We are going to add a scoreboard to this game though, and so that's not built into the game. We have to actually add it. So come to variables. We're going to make a variable. We're going to call this score. You're going to hit OK. You have the choice to do it for all sprites or this sprite only. Sometimes this sprite only is useful, especially if you're doing cloning, which I'll show you later on. But sometimes you want to just leave it on all sprites if other things on the screen could affect the score. So we're going to leave it on there. When the game starts, what should the score be? Well, we want the score to reset every time you hit the green flag. So under the variable section, there's one here that says set my variable to 0. We're going to change that to say set score to 0. So we can change the value of that up or down. We will when the game runs, but every time you hit the green flag, it starts off at 0. Okay, so inside this forever loop, as the night's moving around and around and around, let's do, well, let me show you, oh no, let's not do that. Let's do, okay, let's put it over here. If it's touching the night, what we need to happen inside here, if it's touching the night, that's where the score is going to go up or down. So let's right now just change the variable by 1. We can change the score by 1. So when I hit the green flag, watch the score. The score should go up. Ding, 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 ding. And when we reset it, it starts back at 0. Okay? All right, what we need to do here though, we only want it to go up if it's supposed to, if it's an even number. So we have to include a function here. So check this one out. It's a control, if, then, let's do if, then, else. If the operator is, we're going to say equals. Basically, we want to see if the costume is even or odd. We're going to have to use this function here called mod. That's this one right here. So drag this over and put it here. Let's put this actually here for a second so we can test it out. We're going to do something mod 2. Basically, this, if you in math, it gives you the remainder. So if I did 4 mod 2, that's like saying 4 divided by 2, but only what the remainder is, so that'll be 0. If I do 4 mod 1, that'll also be 0. But if I do 4 mod 3, the mod will be 1. Because if you divide 4 by 3, there's 1 left over. That's what mod means. If you did, for example, 100 mod 25, that should be 0, because if you divide 100 by 25, you don't have anything left over. So the mod gives you what's left, the remainder basically when you're dividing. So to know if a number is even or not, you're going to divide by 2. You're going to mod 2. 100 mod 2 is 0. 99 mod 2 is 1. 101, let's do 98. 98 mod 2 is 0. 97 mod 2 is 1. This little test right here will let you know if the number is even or odd, because if it's even, then mod will equal 0, and that's what we want to test for right here. If something mod 2 equals 0, that means there's no remainder, the number is divisible by 2, that means it's an even number. So what are we testing here? Well, there's different ways to do it. The easiest way is, you'll notice on this sprite's costumes, see how these costumes are numbered? 0, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get rid of costume 0 because zeros aren't even or odd. But notice costume 1 is 1, costume 2 is 2, costume 3 is 3, costume 4 is 4. All we're going to do with this test is we're going to see under looks, we want to know what costume number we're on. If the costume number mod 2 equals 0, right now this will see how we're on costume 1, this will say false. If we switch to costume 2 and then test it again, it'll say true. If you switch to costume 6, test it again, that'll say true. But if you switch to costume 7 or 5, let's do 5 because it's right there, that'll say false. Because the costume number right now is number 5. 5 divisible by 2 is not divisible, so you'll have 1 left over. And that is the mod function right there. So if it's divisible by 2, then we want the score, variables, change score by 1. And then else, this function here, oops, this block of code right here will happen if it's not divisible by 2, which is nice because it's either it is or it isn't on this one. So we're going to change the score by -1 and run it. So you should see here with an odd number, the score goes down, 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 down. Okay, do you see what's going on there? There's a problem with my code. Every time it runs, it changes the score by -1. So can you see what I need to do here with my code? This block actually needs to be inside here. So now it's at 0. This will say -1, -2, -3. But if you change the costume to an even number like 4 and run it again, now it'll go up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're almost done with our program. All we need now is to change the costume each time. So let's switch costume 2. And we want this to happen after the score changes. You don't want to change the costume before you change the score, otherwise the kid will think you're cheating. We want to switch the costume 2, and we're going to pick between 1 and 9. So every time that runs, when it touches the number, it'll change it to a new number. Okay, I just realized something though, because if you move the night out of the way, it never changes. So we need to move this code and actually duplicate it. We want it to switch the costume with when it resets or if it touches the night. Okay, all right, there's our program. Here's a challenge for you. Can you make it faster or slower depending on the score? So if you get a higher score, the numbers move faster. Or could you have it so you incorporate a you win or you lose in there? Or if you get too high or a really high score, then the game ends. Or if you get too low, then you get a game over and you lose. So have fun with this one. It's a pretty simple one, and thanks for doing it.